have to start over from the beginning.
All right, let me start over from the beginning. First off, this is our final, finite, the end, Star Trek Discovery stream. After this, we will only ever talk about Star Trek Discovery tangentially. You know, this is it. We're never covering Star Trek Discovery again. There is no Star Trek Discovery, and we will be happy to wash our hands of this madness. So, if you like our Star Trek Discovery stuff, then that's great. I hope you can get your fill today, but I really hope that maybe you can also stick around for other stuff we talk about in the future. We're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. Of course, Star Trek's in there, not Star Trek Discovery, but movies, TV shows, politics, memes, pop culture. So, I know a few people are going to tune in for Star Trek Discovery as it is the last thing. I hope that you can stick around and watch us next week when we're not talking about Star Trek Discovery. And that said, if you are not a subscriber, do me a solid and hit that button and hit the like button too. Everyone hit the like button. Let's push this stream as far as we can.
I agree with that. Everything you just said. Fantastic.
And I thank you guys for being here today. We are talking about Star Trek Discovery. We're going to be talking about a few things, but Star Trek Discovery is at the top of the list because it has finally ended. That is it. It's over. Finito. We watched the last episode, and I've actually saw the last episode a while ago, and I've been sitting on this information, and it was just been burning a hole in my stomach because I hated it so much. I realized that before, when I was like, oh, I dislike this, it has turned into just pure despising, hate. I really hate the series, and I hate most of the characters. I just hate them. There's nothing redeeming about them. This season started off a little stronger than other seasons, and then just fell right back into the normal, boring Discovery stuff. And I'm just over it. So I can't wait to finally roast this thing for the last time. You ready, Shane?
I'm ready. Do you want me to start with a little bit, or we got a plan here?
Yes, we have a plan. I actually got clips, and now this is the important part.
Can I give an overview before we talk about details?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, before I start the clips off.
When you're ready. Yeah.
Real quick, do me a favor. We're going to be playing clips, you guys. I went through and I got about 12 or 15 clips from this season. The most offending stuff, the stuff that just made me very angry, that I didn't like, or I thought was funny, and what that means that the second you play a clip on YouTube, no matter, even if it's fair use, they just like completely demonetize that video or that stream. So do us a favor and support us. And you can support us by hitting the join button, or just support us by liking and subscribing. If you want to send a super chat, I'm cool with that too. But this stream will almost guaranteed be demonetized because we're playing a bunch of clips today. Now, you want to give an overview?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a few things I just want to do before we get into this. The first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to send kudos and a shout out to the Star Trek Discovery production team. So everybody creating graphics, everybody who built sets, everybody who made sure that that the show was looked beautiful, gorgeous looking show, that everything looks fantastic. It's an incredible amount of hard work goes into creating a show like this, whether you like it or not. The people who make the show are really they're doing the best that they can, and no matter what show, these aren't the guys and gals who are writing the content, who are performing, who are making the decisions for what's going to happen. They're just simply bringing the world to life. And I think that as much as we complain about things that are happening around Hollywood right now, the important thing is that those people, the people like the Dave Blasses and the Akudas and the people who are involved in Star Trek, especially for a long time, they're doing hard work all the time. And right. the reflection of the show, they need to know that they've done well. It's a beautiful show.
It looks great.
The actors, they're just showing up to do their jobs.
Right.
Okay. They've been given guidance from directors, from writers, from the showrunners. By the way, the showrunners have the most power of anybody on any of these shows. They're the ones who determine the tone and how things go. And so the actors are just going and doing their jobs. Okay. So, any shade that we throw today is really not at any person, anybody who's trying to bring this thing to life. Most of the frustration that we feel is mostly directed at people who are in charge.
Right.
And just note that as we're talking about this today, if you're one of the people who've worked on Star Trek, you shouldn't feel bad about what you've done. You're doing your job, and it's really a beautiful show. So that's the first thing I wanted to say about everything there.
I agree. And before you go into what your next thing is, Jeremy Snyder just gifted 5 Pop Culture.
Ooh, thank you, Jeremy.
And thank you for that, Jeremy, because now I can talk about what we're going to do in the members section. After this stream, we're going to go to the members section and we're going to do a meme review. I realize we've never done that, so I've gathered up a ton of memes and we're gonna laugh at them together and probably talk about stuff that we can't talk about on the public facing side of it. So if you want to be a member and you weren't just gifted that, hit that join button, baby. All right, go ahead, Shane.
The other people I'd like to congratulate is I want to congratulate every Star Trek fan that is a woman, that is part of the LGBTQ community. No, I realize, seriously, I want to congratulate. If you are a fan of Star Trek, okay, and let's say you're also a fan of like Jane Austen or any sort of like feminine minded or feminine, derived content
material, right,
or LGBTQ derived content. If you're a fan of that stuff, then Discovery was probably a home run for you.
Yeah, probably.
You probably love the hell out of it. And there's some guys who really, love this kind of stuff. I mean, think of Sex and the City, right? You remember the TV show Sex and the City?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. So the only people who watch the TV,
in a show called Sex and the City, there was not a lot of sex.
There was a lot of sex. What are you talking about?
No, there wasn't. There wasn't.
There was a lot of sex.
I mean, there was a lot of implied sex. They didn't actually show a lot, though.
Of course they're not. It's a show for ladies. They don't show the sex.
I'm just saying, it's on HBO and it's called Sex in the City.
It's a show for women. It's not Dream On, the show for guys.
I guess.
Okay, it's the show for girls, and the girls don't need to see the act. They want the romance. They want the tussle.
From my perspective, I was definitely, sold a false bill of goods.
It was not a show for you, my friend.
That's true.
And this is the point. The point is that Star Trek Discovery is not a show necessarily for you and I, Brian. It's not a show directed at you and I, because it is a show made for women. It is a show made for the LGBTQ community. That's what the show is made for. It's the creator, the writers, all of it is guided in that thing. And so there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you like. But for guys like us who don't watch shows like that, Sex in the City, the only people who watch Sex in the City, you interrupted me. The only people who watch Sex in the City are girls and guys who want to get laid. Those were the people who watch Sex in the City, okay, trying to impress their female partners. And that's the way it is. And Star Trek Discovery is a feminine-oriented show. It's a gay, LGBTQ-oriented show. And so you and I are not going to probably like watching that, as we would not watch Jane Austen or Jane Eyre or the Oxygen Network or novellas or soap operas or any of that other shit, because it's not something that we enjoy. So you can put a Star Trek label on it, but the overwhelming majority of fans of Star Trek who are men, I'm sorry, ladies.
It's true.
I'm sorry.
It's true.
How do we know this? Because 90% of the people subscribed to our 150,000 subscribers on both of our channels are guys.
Right.
Okay. 90%. And what has our content mostly been? Star Trek.
For the first 80% of our YouTube, it was all Star Trek.
So the mistake, if there's a mistake made here, not by the production staff, not necessarily by the actors, but by the leadership, is that you chose to tell the story to the audience you chose to tell your story to. And what you said was, we don't care if it makes any money. We don't care if it's successful in any sort of financial terms so that you can continue making money. Do you think Berman era Star Trek continued to make shows? Do you think we got DS9 and do you think we got Voyager and Enterprise because TNG didn't make them any money? No. It's because it made a shit ton of money.
Yeah, I mean, an insane.
That's why they continued to make those shows. And what they're finding out is is Discovery and Strange New Worlds and these shows, they don't make the money.
Well, I think they also don't respect us enough to think that we'll turn it off. I think that they think, just remember what Jason Isaac said, like they're going to watch regardless.
That's what they were told.
That's what they were
Problem
told.
was, is the reality is, and yes, I did watch it. I was forced to watch it. That's fair. But most people who aren't in Brian and I's situation aren't going to choose to. I bet most of the people here who are watching this today didn't bother to watch Star Trek Discovery.
No.
But they're here to hear us talk about it because that's a little bit entertaining. So anyways, I just wanted to put that out before we started talking about it, that, you know, we're not just shitting on something or having these takes because, you know, we don't like women or we don't like this. We don't like television that is, I would say, from a feminine sensibility.
No, it wasn't made.
It's
it wasn't made
because
for
we're
us.
guys.
And recently, Kathleen Kennedy came out and said the dominant fans of Star Wars are men. The overwhelming audience for Star Wars is men, but they keep making content that is for women.
They're choosing this. They're choosing to do this,
right? And they wonder why it fails. Like, what do you expect?
Make it if you want. But we're not going to enjoy it. We're not going to watch it. We're not going to get excited about it. We're not going to buy the toys. We're not going to do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened here. So I'm not saying it's, you know, if you liked it and if you enjoy it, then that's okay. It's for your sensibility. But I watched this season of Star Trek Discovery thinking what I've thought mostly throughout Discovery is that every character I run across, and we can go through the characters if you guys want, every character I run across has a general feminine or LGBTQ sensibility. And, you know, I just don't emotionally and mentally connect with that. Some of the stuff about the progenitors and the Breen and some of the actual Star Trek stuff in there, you know, it was enough to keep me from losing my mind completely. But at the same time, it's not my sense.
Well, so I think you can also make it for women if the actual writing makes sense. Let's be clear, like they legitimately ignored or completely went against the canon that they were establishing in real time. They would contradict themselves in real time. In same episodes, they would contradict themselves from something they said or showed 15 minutes earlier to what's happening now. The very last episode, when they showed, you know, the robots putting the letter on the Enterprise and all of a sudden it wasn't there, in the next shot, like, I understand that you can make it for a feminine point of view or whatever, but it also has to have good writing. And if you made it from a feminine point of view, but it was good writing and it was real Star Trek, then a lot of men might not put it at the top of their list, but they might at the very least, you know, watch it for that part of the content.
I want to be specific about when I say this, because this sounds awfully misogynist when you just put it at its face value. But that's not what I'm trying to say.
Right.
There are TV shows. If you guys have been around for a little while, there's TV shows where their audiences are made for certain people. And I mentioned the Oxygen Network, not to slam it, but that was a network that was created for women's shows, to create shows that women would like to watch. I unfortunately had to see a lot of that because my mother-in-law would put it on all the time and I was stuck there. And so I'm seeing it. And it's the same sort of sensibilities wrapped in a Star Trek envelope. Not a problem if you want to have Star Trek for people and say, well, this is the Star Trek, but this is your flagship show. And so what you're saying is this for all Star Trek fans? The problem is, and I think you found out because you only made 5 seasons of it, and I have a feeling that you're not going to see any more Strange New Worlds after this next season. You definitely have no more Discovery, and I'll frankly be shocked if we actually do Starfleet Academy, because it's not making Paramount any money. And why is it not making Paramount any money, Brian? Because the fans, Star Trek fans in bulk, don't care about it. Right. Not all Star Trek fans. Some Star Trek fans love it. Some Star Trek fans, there was a tweet earlier, it's my 3rd favorite series behind TNG and Deep Space Nine. Well, kudos to you. Whatever you liked about TNG and Deep Space Nine, I bet had some sort of bent on, you know, that angle for you, you know, or whatever feeling you have. And I'm saying you can be a man and like that stuff. There's no problem with it. There are some dudes who who are more lean in that direction, a little more sensitive, perhaps a little more
Sure.
kind of enjoy that. There are some guys who, when you go in a group and there's a bunch of women sitting around, there's a bunch of dudes in one room playing dominoes, and then there's a bunch of girls in the back talking and gossiping. And there's always one or two guys that want to sit in the back with the girls and gossip. Okay. I just wasn't one of those guys. I was playing dominoes up front, and it's not that you can't be back there with the girls, but that stuff is not my sensibility. And so therefore this Star Trek is not my sensibility. And so I'm just coming at it from that point of view. And I think Brian's right about when you talk about, the writing, and you're going to see lots of incidents, lots of situations today where the writing didn't make any sense.
Yeah. Things don't add up. So even
there were things put in that were pointless.
Oh yeah. Completely pointless.
Story.
Entire sections of dialogue that are only geared to, and you said, the feminine audience, and have no bearing on the story whatsoever. And it's funny because from a masculine point of view, it just frustrates me because I'm like, can we move on? Why are we talking about this?
Right. So just to give you a couple examples before we get into the specifics that Brian's going to show us, when I say feminine sensibilities, I'm saying like the constantly checking in with each other to see if they're okay emotionally. Like there's the constant checking in. It's every episode. There are multiple times that the action is stopped so that, one doctor can check on the other doctor, or one crewmate can check on the other one. And what's your mental situation?
Right.
And that to me is feminine sensibility, LGBTQ sensibility, and who's writing this stuff, who's show running this stuff, who's creating this stuff. It's women and LGBTQ people. So you would expect this. I mean, you're not going to come to me and say, Shane, we want you to be the director, and I want you to write a script for Bros and direct the movie. Okay, Shane, I want you to do that. They're not going to ask me to do that because that is a gay movie, and I'm not the guy to do that.
He's talking about the movie Bros, not
the movie Bros in
general,
right? I'm not the guy to do that.
Shane,
so they're not going to ask.
I need you to direct Bros.
Right? They're not going to do that because that's what they want. So when they hired all these people to write this stuff and to do these things, that's what they were asking them to make. It's the same thing that's happening with Doctor Who. Now that Homie has completely embraced his lifestyle and has no fear with what to let his light shine under, let his candle shine. He has no problem now. Doctor Who is woo, right? So, so listen, but that's who they hired to do the work.
Yeah, it's rainbow colored. All right.
So let's just be clear on where we're at here.
All right. So let's talk about some of the writing. So we opened up this series, and I'm just going to go to full Chrome here. So you guys, there we go. We opened up this series in an interesting way because it had very much Marvel vibes to me. And I'm going to be cutting a little bit. Oh, let me turn the sound on. I'm going to be pausing randomly. But this is the very first big action piece we get in this season. Boom. She falls out of the ship, and the Iron Man suit just forms around her. And then we get the thing where she gets hit by a piece of shrapnel, and she's like, oh, that didn't feel good. All right. So this is like the first thing I see when I open this up, right?
Definitely an Iron Man suit if she's getting hit by a piece of space debris and nothing's happening.
Right. I immediately was like, well, okay, they're going with a different route with this. They're going like, maybe more action, comedy, whatever. The MCU route. All right, that's fine. But this is where the Star Trek fans start to lose their minds. Because she's on the top of a ship. And it's about, and I'm going to pause it here so I don't get hit by the copyright claim gods. What's it about to do, Shane?
It's about to go to warp.
About to go to warp. By the way, just to be clear, I guess I was wrong about the A. That I guess they were taking it off. My bad. So back to this. And she is mag-locked to the top of that ship, and it is going at warp speed. Now, you can argue the warp bubble is protecting her.
Yeah. Let's just say, as fucking ridiculous as this is, because now a warp bubble, here's the thing is, a warp bubble is not created like you don't push a button and create a fucking warp bubble.
No.
Okay, so like she's up there, right? They didn't go warp bubble. Oh, now you're protected, Michael Burnham. They didn't do that. they went to warp, and as they were traveling to warp speed, a warp bubble was created. At which point she would have been completely obliterated into a billion pieces as the warp bubble was forming. So let's just be clear there first off.
Yeah, and the crazy part about this is there's a scene, I didn't get the scene, where they do actually pull it out of warp, and she just goes flying off the ship, and you're like,
okay, so now she flies off the ship, while it's in warp. What do you think is going to happen to her blood and bones? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like her suit isn't a small, spaceship. Federation spaceship.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe, maybe in the future they have like super.
Not a shuttlecraft, guys.
Super shields. All right.
Well, if they did, they didn't explain it.
This is the scene where we first get introduced to Captain Raynor, and Captain Raynor actually liked the character, but he's immediately admonished by Michael Burnham, and this is the theme throughout the entire series: is Captain Raynor being pushed around by Michael Burnham, being put down by Tilly, being scolded by Dr.
Insert random old white guy into any one of the seasons of the Star Trek Discovery, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
The difference is this guy, but this is a lesson this season in how you turn the old white guy into one of your own. That's what this season's about. This season's about correcting him, explaining how wrong he is to be the person he is, and now here's how you really should be. And then he ends up becoming that.
And I'm going to show you guys this scene, and you guys tell me who's right in this scene. I mean, just like, honestly, I want to know in the chat, who do you think is right in this scene? I'm going to play it. You ready?
It gets ripped apart when the warp bubble collapses, and the entire will be destroyed too.
That's why they're pushing this. They're counting on me backing off.
Warning. Warp failure imminent.
Damn it. Come on!
Get out, get safe, I've got this.
No, you don't! You made this personal!
No, you don't! You made this personal!
Every mission's personal. It's called doing my job.
All right. That's the first interaction. He was ordered with a red directive, the most important directive, to get this device back from these thieves, all right? And Michael is telling him, back off, you're going to destroy this ship. And he's like, they're counting on it. And she's like, you made this personal.
Well, what's interesting is, like, for a second here, you're like, oh, wait a second. They're going to let Michael Burnham be wrong? You know what I'm saying?
No,
because she ends up wrong in this situation. And I'm like, wait a second. No, but they even it out.
Right.
Quickly after.
Yeah. They even it out. Now, what happens is they chase these criminals to a planet that is not where they're observing the Prime Directive, and an avalanche is caused by the criminals, Locke and Maul. And this is
yeah, but you got to talk about what happened. So before that,
right,
they were speeding along, and Reynard was ordering his ship to fire to trap the bad guys.
Yes, Reynard,
and Burnham's like, no, you won't do that because there's civilians down here and blah, blah, blah. And you can't do that. And he's like, this is a red directive, the utmost important thing, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, he ends up making it happen anyways. Nobody gets killed. But it gives the bad guys an idea to do it back to them.
Right.
And then he's punished for it.
Oh yeah. And we're going to get to that punishment, but I want to show you how they solved the Avalanche problem.
And as Dustin says here, on planet Tatooine.
On planet Tatooine. And this is Robert Meyer Burnett's favorite scene of the entire series. It's when
I don't even want to know. I know. I felt it. Like I could feel Rob freaking the fuck out as I was watching it. I could feel his energy. It's devastating.
The ships combine their shields or whatever, and they literally just crash land into the planet. Look at this.
They just crashed. They just crashed into the desert. They shoved their shield sections into the ground.
Right.
There's going to be no problem with that.
Yeah. Right.
There's going to be no problem with that.
Here's the aftermath.
No problem, guys.
It's just them. It's like the ship's sticking up out of the sand.
Nobody's stuck. It's all good. We just float there. It's all good.
The crazy part.
It's all good. Look, I mean, somebody came up with the idea. So, you know, it'd be really cool. What if they used the ships to create a massive shield to like block them and stop them? What if you do that? And having no one in the room that really had a shit to know anything about it, like, absolutely.
Oh, that'd be cool. We can have them just hit the ground, cool. Right? That would look really rad. The sand coming up.
I mean, you know, listen, and most people are like, whatever. I mean, I looked at it and said, of course. I watched it and said, of course they did that. That's exactly what I would have done if I was them, and I knew absolutely nothing about Star Trek. I absolutely 100% would have done that. Huge Star Wars fan. Go.
All right, so now you know who gets blamed here, right, Shane?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, Captain Raynor gets blamed for all of it. I love how they guy.
I love how they write. I hate how they write this. I'm saying I love it. I hate it. So they want to show Michael as being like on Raynard's side, right?
Right.
So here's how they started out. And this is the writers. This is all writers. Okay, this is all the writers do. They're like, no, Michael Burnham's not going to tell on him. They're asking her. The president, the president lady is asking Michael, we want to know what you think. What did you think when it was happening? What did you think? She wouldn't answer. So Raynard, then of course, and this is not what Raynard would have done. Raynard said, you had no problem disagreeing with me down on the planet. Right? Of course, that's what he's going to do. Right? Basically giving her the okay to tell on him.
Right, because the audience needs to see the okay so that Space Jesus can continue being Space Jesus.
Exactly. And so that she's off the hook because it's okay for her to tell because the guy who did the wrong thing said it was okay to tell. No, it's about loyalty and integrity is there no matter what. What I would have appreciated is if even after he said that, she looked up and said, he did nothing wrong. See, I would have respected that more. Right. Because he didn't do anything wrong, guys. You know what he did? He gave the bad guys an idea because of something he did. It's blatantly stupid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is blatantly a stupid idea. And the fact that it was written this way, it was written. The only thing in mind is to make Michael Burnham look like a better character. That was the only reason why it was written this way. It's a pointless scene. And they wanted to find a way to get Raynard to be her underling, so that he's answering to her. That was the only point.
So they can scold him. And I'm going to have scenes of him being scolded by Tilly, which in my opinion might be the worst character ever created in Star Trek. I am of that mind now where I literally despise this character with every fiber of my being.
Well, when you watch Star Trek Discovery, the one thing you know is that orders and people who are in charge, it doesn't matter. Like you can do whatever you want, say whatever you want, because none of that matters. As long as you get to say what you want to say, and you get to put your feelings out there. It doesn't matter if he's in charge of you and he's like, no, you're not. No, I'm going to say it anyways.
I have that. I have that exact same that you're talking about. Okay. Go ahead.
By the way, the Federation is a military organization. I just want to be clear here. I know that a lot of people say it's not it is a military organization with ranks and uniforms and a set of
and a hierarchy. There's a hierarchy, right?
Those are the three things required for it to be a military. It is a military organization, and
it's not a military organization. Shut up.
You take orders, you follow orders, you give orders. That's it.
It's not the military. Yeah, okay. Stop it.
I just want to be clear here.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. We're gonna be really clear. There's a hierarchy. There's uniforms. There's orders. It is literally the Navy in space.
It is exactly what it is.
So, you know what? To all the people like, it's not the military. Shut up. It is. Period. The end. I'm done arguing about this bullshit.
I'm still not sure how somebody said it wasn't the military.
Period. The end. It is definitely the Navy in space, and the Navy is the military. So there should be military decorum at the very least.
Absolutely. You listen, and listen, if you have a private spat with the person in charge of you, that's one thing. But Tilly doesn't freaking listen to anybody.
No, she's not remotely.
Lieutenant
she's not in the
Tilly
military. She's not in the Navy.
Listen to anybody. And she's very clear about how she says she doesn't believe she's in the military either. So go ahead.
All right, so we're gonna take a quick break from the rage because I'm starting to feel rage. All the people that I argue with, it's not the military. Shut the fuck up. Oh my God, I hate that so much. Okay, Michael Nemo, super chat break here. Michael Nemo for $5. He says, and thank you, Michael Nemo. The average person that likes STD is not plagued by bright ideas, needs endless validation, and looks for kudos by pandering. Yeah, that's probably true. Generally speaking, you're probably right. That's not every single person, but yeah, I think generally speaking, you're probably right. Generally speaking, I think most people that like Discovery are probably leftist. Probably.
I mean, it is. I mean, and not to like disparage anybody's political ideology, but the one thing that seems like one side of it does seem to be kind of based on feelings, and another one kind of seems to be based on facts. I guess that's very, very. It's not fair to like put everybody in that category, but it does feel very
right.
Like it doesn't need to make sense. It just only matters how I feel.
Yeah, and here's your local MAGA representative right here. He's like, I was given an order, and I went through my orders. It was a red directive, and they're like, we don't care. Sorry, I'm sorry.
I mean, it is true. He was given an order. He was doing what he was told to do, but he went against the orders of the almighty Michael Burnham. Which is crazy because Michael Burnham is also a captain. And she showed up. He's been a captain in the Federation a lot longer than she has. True. Yeah.
But for whatever reason, she has priority because she is Space Jesus. I don't know. There's no other way around it, dude. John Burns. Thank you, John, for $5. I love the movie The Craft. 4 characters, great story, great writing, dramatic tension throughout. Is that the witchcraft one?
Yeah, so that's 4 girls, right? Now, the difference between The Craft and something like this is, in The Craft, every 5 minutes, they weren't asking each other how they felt.
No.
Hey, how do you feel about that witchcraft thing that you just did? It wasn't. And it was a cool movie. It is a cool movie from the 90s.
It's a cool movie, yeah.
And so there's a difference. Like, what we're talking about, feminine sensibilities, like the witchcraft was made for a movie that you guys or girls could watch it. It was made for either or, but they weren't sitting around. It didn't feel like they were pandering to the feminine sex.
Nah, they were telling a story. And you know what? Like, even like women are not all this Jane Austen kind of.
Right. And there's some women who like male sensibilities too, like who like more, less feelings.
And some days they're more feelings and some days they're more facts. Like, but if you look at some of these Auction Network shows or Discovery, it's like every day it's the same emotional nonsense. Like there's no shades of gray. There's no subtlety whatsoever.
And let's be clear. It's nonsense for us. It may not be nonsense for you or for somebody who likes it. It's nonsense from the sake of we don't care about it.
Yeah, but dude, I tried to get my wife to watch Star Trek and she wouldn't. She likes all those, period piece, dramatic, emotional things. She's a woman.
You should have had her start at the beginning of Discovery Season 1.
And I did. So when I realized that when I realized that she wouldn't watch, I couldn't even get her to watch Strange New Worlds, which is like vanilla entry level Star Trek, right?
It is, but it's not. It's different. It's just Strange New Worlds is just screwing up all of our canon. It's not necessarily feminine.
Right. But my thought was maybe I can get her attached to Star Trek with this like really sort of less involved version of Star Trek, which is what's really nice. Which Strange New Worlds doesn't require a whole lot of it. Like you can just sort of start Strange New Worlds and not know anything about.
But you have to like science fiction, and your wife doesn't like science.
So then I was like, okay, I'm going to show her Discovery, which is all super emotional and nonsense, but
still the sci-fi stuff got in the way,
right? And I think that this is what Paramount needs to realize something, or anyone making this content. If you are going to make the content for women or for that feminine sensibility, like you need to not do it in science fiction because and this is obviously not for everyone, but generally most women from my experience just don't like science fiction. They want fantasy or period. Like they love like stuff in like, from like the 1920s and like, they like period pieces.
1800s
or 1800s.
Britain.
Yeah. Britain. Yeah. 1800s Britain. That's like, dude, you want to make a show for chicks. Set it in like England in the 1800s and pack it with the same exact dialogue that Star Trek Discovery has, but skip all the Star Trek words and you win.
Yeah. I mean, 100% true. But you got to remember, Brian Fuller created Star Trek Discovery. Now, Brian Fuller was a big time writer back in the Berman era Star Trek days. But what was his goal? He felt like he could never write the characters he wanted to write. He could never create, where the woman was the hero, where the LGBTQ person was the hero. That was his goal, was to be able to put that on the screen. And so when he became the creator of Star Trek Discovery, that's he went down. Mae Jemison, that's who his captain was going to be, the first Black female captain in space for NASA. That's who he wanted, Star Trek Discovery. Right. And of course, he wanted to fill his crew with LGBTQ characters. And because Alex Kurtzman doesn't have a clue about Star Trek, didn't really give a shit, and was just trying to complete what Fuller, initially envisioned, just kept going. And that's how we ended up with Discovery. It wouldn't have been this show. Had anybody else been creating it? And let me tell you, Brian Fuller knows Star Trek, but he has, his sensibility
too. He has an agenda.
He has an agenda. That's what 100%. He wants. I mean, the guy's created some amazing shows, but when he's allowed to have carte blanche, this is what he wants his shows to be about, because he's gay, and so it makes sense.
And he's a little bit of a weirdo.
I mean, regardless of that, that's what his.
And Kurtzman just like hands off most of his creators, and so he left
everything. He's hands off the whole damn thing,
right?
He's just hands off all the way.
From not a banned account. I have not seen your name here before. Have I? So, you know what? Cool Winnie the Pooh profile. Thank you, not a banned account, for $1.99. He says, will the Trump verdict turn MAGA followers violent? We are going to be talking about the Trump verdict.
After this is over, we will talk about the Trump verdict. Yeah. It's impacting me, not necessarily because I am a Trump supporter, but because I love America and I'm really disturbed by what just happened. Regardless. So, but I definitely, it's hitting me pretty hard. And I think somebody else mentioned that as well, that they're hit pretty hard right now.
From Michael Nemo for $5, I'm bi and a psychotherapist, and I don't need my characters on TV film to check in emotionally. Just be smart, kick ass, and make me think. There you go. That's truth.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, that's really there. I mean, that's it. I mean, the problem with checking in, and I don't know how it is for everybody. I mean, some people, maybe they love that. Maybe they're like, oh yeah, what's this character feeling and thinking right now? The way you show how a character is thinking and feeling is you have them fucking go do something. And while they're doing it, you see what they're thinking and feeling.
Right. Yeah. You show it on screen.
You don't stop in sickbay, go find Dr. Hugh Colbert, or whatever the hell his name is.
Colbert. Yeah.
And say, so let me just check in with you, see how you're feeling today. How you feeling right now? I mean, you just don't do that.
Or Tilly or whatever.
Keep telling the story. Keep telling the story.
Right. Just, continue the story, please. Thank you, Michael Nemo. Tony
Michael.
from Down Under for $2. Never watched STD, just supporting you guys. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man, Tony. Appreciate that. We could use the support, brother.
I know there's more. There's more super chats.
Let's do some and then we'll come back.
Yeah, we'll come back. Okay. All right. So this is that scene, and it's hard to see.
Leader. The Orions are regrouping. War is always a possibility, and you're living in a candy-colored hollow fantasy if you're thinking otherwise.
You are not helping yourself.
That when she says you are not helping yourself, I'm like, why are you like the person? You were like the moral barometer for this.
But I was okay with that. Like at that point, I'm like, okay, come on, girl, stay with your guy. What is the stay on target? Stay on target.
Stay on target. Stay on target.
You can even see her facial expression when he finally's like, "Oh, you had no problem out there," and she's just like, and that's the other thing about Sonequa Martin Green and her acting. I know I've leveled into her over the years. I don't think she's a very good actress. She has this tendency when she's doing her scenes to be very earnest about it. Put me back on the screen for a second. That face right there.
That's what I was trying to show. That face.
That's what we have to do. Like all of her acting, she don't understand.
She whispers everything in a large volume. It's like a large decibel whisper.
But she's trying to
what I was told to do.
Well, she's trying to persuade you. Like she's always trying to persuade somebody. She has a certain way of doing it, which sounds like she's pleading, which just makes you not feel like you respect somebody who's like pleading with somebody else to do something. You know what I mean? Janeway was a great female captain because she was business first, and she had feminine sensibilities, but it didn't get in the way of her business. that feminine sensibility stuff came later when has time to reflect or she's going through something, but it wasn't on the bridge.
Janeway was the goat, man.
She was
the straight goat. All right, so watch this scene here, guys.
Any sign of Lock and Maul?
No, none. But we don't know the full extent of their cloaking capabilities yet.
So they could be down there.
Down there, up here. Either way, we will keep our eyes peeled. Which is actually kind of disgusting.
Okay, my first example of why I hate Tilly so much. You'll
have to explain it because I can't hear it.
Oh, that's right. You can hear it. She goes, okay, well, up there, down there. Okay, we'll keep our eyes peeled, which is really weird. That's a weird thing to say.
I don't know. I don't know when Tilly became this character on the show. I mean, I know from the beginning she was like quirky, but they've really leaned into it, man.
Yeah,
they put her in charge of stuff, which is even weirder.
They've leaned into how awkward and quirky she is and how she has zero military decorum and she wears her feelings on her shoulder. Another example of that is this really hyper cringe scene. And it's these two characters, which I've never liked. I've made that very clear. But it's just so damn awkward. These characters are so awkward. I think it's Adira and I don't even know the other person's name. I don't even know what the other person's gender is. I don't know both these characters' genders are.
I think they're both trans.
Or they, them, or something. Like, what's their gender, though? I don't even know. I don't know what their pronouns are. I don't know what the pronouns
you're asking. I have no fucking idea.
But it's just so cringy, and that they dedicate a healthy portion of this episode. I think I don't know what episode 4, I think, to these two characters, and like it doesn't move the story. They
wanted to settle their relationship, so that's of course. If you go back to season 4, I think it is. The one ends up with a trill inside of her. I can't remember.
Whatever.
And then they go down and they end up on the trill planet and they're doing the whole thing. So they wanted to like end this relationship and they kind of killed a bunch of birds with one stone. Not a bad way if you're going to like end, like try to wrap up everything. They got to. It's season 5. There's not going to be a season 6. They don't want to leave anything open ended. And basically the one in the red here breaks up with the other one. And
the one in the red breaks up with the
one in the
blue.
Breaks up the one in the blue. And listen, the one in the blue, here's the thing is like throughout the entire series, and Blue Del Barrio, Adira. That's the one in the blue. We're in the blue. That character is so uncertain of themselves through the entire show. It's sick. It's painful to watch them do anything. Like every season of Discovery that this character has been in, they've been unable to capture their confidence. So we spend more time of that person talking about getting their confidence. One of the doctors like constantly explained to them how they should feel confident or something, or Tilly or somebody. It's this constant, and all you want to do is like take a giant scissors and just cut that shit out of your fucking movie and just throw it aside because nothing's happening.
No.
Yeah. They do a couple of cool things where they're like helpful. Then they do one really bad thing that wasn't their fault. They bring on the time bug or whatever the fuck that was. And
the time bug. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's pointless character.
Even the lead up to that though, like there is an entire scene where Tig Notaro basically scolds Stamets for not seeing. She calls him Space Daddy or something like that.
How do you not get your engineer in the show, like for the whole season? Like this show is about Michael Burnham and Book. Like it's not about anybody else. This is Michael Burnham's show. This is the only Star Trek show where it's really about one person.
Right, and everyone else is just a supporting character.
So much so that you still, after 5 seasons, guys, are not sure who's on the bridge.
Right? I don't know their names.
Who's on the bridge? Who's on the bridge? Where are they in the Star Trek universe? They keep blipping around everywhere. And I'm like, what planet are they near? What is this, the Alpha Quadrant, Beta? Where are we right now?
They do this thing where they introduce the security chick in like episode 8 or something, maybe 9. I don't even remember. Who cares? But they introduce her again. And it's supposed to be this moment where they're like, oh, hey, great to see you again. And I'm like,
it was weird.
Oh, yeah, awkward. That's that one character from like 3 seasons ago or whatever.
From season 3 where she.
But I don't know her name. I don't care about the character. Like
she went off on her own. And now she's like combative Like what's going on here? Why?
Very odd.
You know, why does she seem like a mean person?
I think I don't know. So this is the scene with Tilly that is this is that scene where she basically scolds Captain Raynor.
Oh, this is after, by the way, guys, if you didn't see, Tilly decided that Michael needed to know, even though Michael was given a top secret mission and was told she's not to know what exactly is happening yet. Tilly decided Michael needed to know for her good and the good of the crew. So fuck you, Starfleet, Federation, and I'm going to go and hack into the computers. How the hell she can do that anyways? Yep. But she's going to do it. She hacks into, and as she gets caught doing it by security, the Admiral walks in and says, I got this. And then says, oh, you managed to do it before I could stop you. Like, what the fuck's going on here? Who's in charge of Starfleet? Why is there a top secret? Wait, no. Why is there a top secret mission that the Admiral who is in charge of Starfleet is okay with them disobeying orders? I don't understand what is happening here.
Because Michael Burnham is in charge of Starfleet.
No, I know.
No, Michael Burnham is in charge of Starfleet, and these people are all just supporting her rise to power, I guess. It's so odd. You're right. She is hacking against orders, and her rank is low, and she's hacking into the Starfleet computer. She gets caught by
security. Gets it
right.
Security's mad. They're like, "Well, you're caught.
What are you doing?"
Now,
and the Admiral's like, "It's cool." Meanwhile, though, they demoted Captain Raynor for following orders. Like, you realize that he was following orders, and they demoted him because he argued with Space Jesus. I don't get it.
Yeah.
This is that scene. This is the scene that made me want to. I mean, this just solidified my hate for Tilly.
So, is that a question for me, sir?
No.
Didn't think so.
Sorry I'm late. I was working on the data from the Romulan tricorder, and I think I finally figured it out.
As long as
I'm gonna fast forward past Stamets' part because I don't care. Oh, that next one.
20 words are up.
Here it is.
You're dismissed.
Nice to meet you too, Commander.
Oh my God, Stamets gets gayer and gayer every season.
He is gay.
What?
I know.
I haven't seen him that excited in so long. Why did you have to shut him down like that?
I got the information I needed. Now I'm moving on.
Oh.
Who's next?
Since you won't give me...
Dude, like, she is just disrespectful. And what drives me nuts, and I'm going to play the rest of it, but I don't want to get...
She just hacked into Starfleet, dude. She don't care.
Yeah, I don't want to get copyright claims, so I just want to say this one thing. People go, you don't get it. He was new on the ship, and she's helping him. People have literally defended how completely unprofessional, how totally out of line she is every season. And this season in particular, and people have defended it. No, look, guys, she is in the military. That is her commanding officer. For her to lose her shit on him because he dismissed one of her crewmates without asking the crewmate about his feelings is insane. He wasn't rude to him. He was like, okay, dismissed. Your 20 words are up.
I mean, he was being short, and he definitely wasn't.
I mean, that's normal.
I understand what you're saying. So, but to be fair, anybody watching it be like, yeah, he's being a little dickish, right? But that's his prerogative as the guy in charge if he wants to be a little dickish. Right. Now, and if she wants to respectfully say, sir, man, and he told her, I did not give you permission to speak freely.
Well, I'm taking it then.
Well, I'm
taking it
because this isn't a military.
And here's my 20
whatever
words.
I want.
Right. Here's my 20 words, and I have that right now.
Would have been cool if they would have put her in the brig.
He's like, security, take this chick and put her in the brig. All right, here's her 20 words.
Her 20th word was just before calling him
Captain Burnham,
she
sees something in you, but for the life of me, I have no idea what it is. So how about this? How about I'm next? Here are my 20 words. You're on a new ship, fresh off.
Oh, shut! I just need to stop for a second. Oh, her fucking face makes me so mad. You're on a new ship, fresh off a demotion. Shut up, Tilly! Oh my God! Oh,
it's even harder for a military. I mean, after so many, I can't even stomach seeing a lieutenant talk to a commander like that. Yeah.
I would have got my ass beat if I talked to my top like that. It would have been insane.
Well, you were enlisted. That's the way it should have been.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, that's the way I'm looking at it from that perspective. And I'm like, how is she still standing? I don't get it. All right. So let's finish it. No copyright claims.
A demotion. Trying to hide how hard that is by being a giant. Well, that's 20 words.
She's so horrible. She's so horrible. All right.
I have no comment.
Yeah. So let's just.
Wait. I'm not sure I'm supposed to have any comment.
There's no comment. I mean, like she has no military decorum. She is totally unprofessional. I don't even know what her role is because she seemingly does like a little bit of everything.
Right. Well, she's a Starfleet Academy instructor is her role, but she's on Discovery doing whatever she wants apparently. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get it. So we're gonna do another round of super chats, but first I do want to show you this awesome scene of Michael Burnham fighting Michael Burnham in the worst choreographed. I have never seen such a poorly outlandish choreographed fight scene. It's so like telegraphed and just cringy as hell. Here we go. Oh my god, this is pathetic. Look.
Whoa! I want to hear Whoa. There's a Matrix move there. You see how they stopped it? Like, do you see how they like stopped the motion? Like, no, wait, seriously, like when they stopped the motion, why did that happen?
I don't know.
Aren't they fighting each other? Like, why did the motion stop?
Yeah, right?
What? You're good. No, I'll hit you in the face.
You're
ready? Oh, okay. Oh, now here we go. Wah, wah. No, keep going. Here we go. And there it is. Why did the motion stop?
Because their forearms are against each other. Like
they have personal shields that they've stuck against.
I don't even know what this move is. What is this move?
It's a bullet time move, man. Look.
No, but like they're like I don't think it's in bullet time. It's not. It's just them stopping because they're pushing them against each other.
I don't know, man.
Like what?
They wanted to show how cool
their forearms aren't even like totally interlocked. Old Burnham has a horrible form. New Burnham's form is obviously better. I don't know anything about this. None of this makes sense.
Well, and if you go back to season 1 when this is supposed to have taken place, and Burnham's like in trouble because she mutinied or she, screwed up. So, but yet she's trying to like save the ship. It was just weird. I don't,
right.
I don't recall she would have been in a position to do that.
Yeah, I don't know either. Okay, let's do some more super chats. From John Burns for $2.79. Thank you, John. Section 31 is the Gestapo, the KGB. According to Paramount, we're going to get a Section 31 movie. So
we'll see.
We'll see if that happens. From Michael Neum over $5. This is great. Kurtzman's Starfleet is like mixing a Salvation Army with The View. Like technically they're wearing uniforms, but they're not actually in the military.
That's funny.
That's actually really good.
That's a good one, Michael. Thank you.
Yeah. From Adam Leader. Hey, Adam, welcome back, bro. For $10. Thank you, Adam. 10 euros, I think. Rayner basically gets berated for doing loads of the rails things like that. What Burnham has done the whole show and been rewarded for. Yes. He is berated and demoted for doing the exact same thing that Michael's been doing for 5 seasons.
Right. And by the way, she did break the first she broke with that people on the ground in later episodes. She broke
the Prime Directive.
The Prime Directive. Did she get in trouble for breaking the Prime
Directive?
No, because she said we'll deal with it.
Because she is Space Jesus.
Right. So I mean, yeah, she breaks the rules all the time, but it doesn't matter. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate that.
Brian, show your wife the Murdoch mysteries on YouTube. Oh, I will.
Oh.
I think I looked it up last time.
Our wives like mystery stuff.
Yeah, they do.
murders, especially.
And one more, then we'll go back into the show here before we take another break. Frodo lives. I'm too depressed to join in tonight, but I want to support the show. Just love you guys. Keep up the great work, guys. Thank you, Frodo lives.
Thank you so much, Frodo lives. Appreciate it. I think I have a feeling I know what you're depressed about, and hopefully we talk about that later.
Yeah, we will. Okay, so we couldn't wrap this up in any way without showing you guys the giant pulsating space anus, and I had to show this scene one more time because it's absolutely ridiculous. That's all I have. It's a space anus, and there's a tractor beam, and there's this moment where Burnham goes, she she has 5 minutes of knowledge of Captain Raynard's species, and she somehow is able to communicate a lot of information with nothing but a 5-second burst. It's such a weird, forced, plot-driven thing. It's really quite bad. And this is the same episode where they contradict themselves at least 3 times about how any of this is happening. So I had to put it in there because there wasn't a whole lot of that episode that was horrible, but that episode was so infuriating it demanded me to make an entire YouTube video about it.
Was that the episode where Michael and Saru are in trouble, and they say and then Michael tells Tilly, because Tilly is trying to figure out how to get the transporters to work, and she's like, "We're losing our footing."
No,
and then Tilly's like, "Someone's attacking your feet?" I still don't understand why that dialogue is even in there, because Tilly wasn't joking. She really didn't understand what Burnham was saying about losing her position.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
It was weird.
Yeah.
It's like somebody wrote it and said, that's going to be really funny. But because Tilly wasn't joking, it's not funny.
It's not funny.
Now we're not laughing with Tilly. We're laughing at her, which we do quite a bit. But, it was really bad. Really bad writing.
So the next scene here is a scene that Shane really wanted me to show you guys from episode 7. And after reviewing it, this is spot on. The scene you need. This is the scene that sums up Star Trek Discovery.
All of it.
We should just stick our necks out on the chopping block.
Commander Rayner, we're on the same team here.
Yeah, am I the only one familiar with the Romulan saying, never turn your back on a Breen?
There is nothing to be gained from xenophobic comments.
I'm not the xenophobic one, Madam President. To the Breen, genocide is a necessity. Their version of a prime directive.
Commander, wait for me outside.
Oh my God, that is so disrespectful, dude. Commander, who was a captain 2 days ago, wait for me outside.
Yeah,
oh my God.
I got to tell you, man. What's really bad about it is, of course, he's saying, look, the Breen are going to attack us. We need to be prepared, right?
Uh-huh.
And then the Vulcan president's like, we don't need any of your xenophobic racistness here. So it went straight to, he's saying we could be in trouble. We need to make sure we do something about it. And she's accusing him of being xenophobic racist. Okay. And then of course he gets chastised. Everybody in the room, he's the bad guy because he brought it. What do you think this is about, guys? Do you think this is about Star Trek, or do you think it's about what's happening in America today?
Right.
What do you think that scene was written for?
Right. Obviously. Yeah.
It was written for people, against, obviously, because it made no sense in its current situation. Like, the Breen have only showed to be a certain way.
They're just hyper aggressive.
The Vulcan ambassador should have said, you make some good points, but we need to try to talk to them first. Right. And instead she attacked
There's
him.
no reason to be xenophobic. They're trying to kill us. Are you not getting this?
You're not. It doesn't mean you're afraid of it doesn't mean you hate somebody because they're different, because they might be trying to do something to you. It's the same thing, the border crisis here in America. You've got all of these people coming to America who, if I was them, I would also be coming to America. The fact that you don't like the fact that they're coming here and possibly, messing up the economy does not mean that you hate those people. You can have that opinion. And this is what's wrong with Discovery the whole time, or New Trek in itself, is the sensibilities that they have, or that point of view. Instead of being reasonable, it's about taking your point of view and shutting it down. And I just don't appreciate that.
And instead of prioritizing the story, they're prioritizing their agenda.
Once again.
Yeah. Here's a pretty funny scene. I thought it was when they were masquerading as Breen and Book, who is like I think the only straight character on the show. That's not true, obviously, but
that's not true. Rayner's
very straight. He hits on one of the Breen, and I just thought it was pretty funny.
Hello. Hello? You excited for the Sorceress?
After our Scion is reborn, we'll hold the greatest Sorceress yet.
Oh, yeah. No question. Hey.
Quick side note, this episode. They put like the two youngest cadets in the Breen outfits as well. Mm-hmm. And you're like, what? You have this like ridiculously important mission, and you're going to take like the two most green characters you have and put them in extremely dangerous, positions where they shouldn't be in. And I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to actually give you more characters, introduce you to more characters. By the way, guys, it's too late for that. That should have happened like 3 seasons ago.
It's already over.
It's too late.
And I made the point, so Michael Burnham, this show's about Michael Burnham and Book, basically. Imagine if TNG had just been Picard and Vosh. Like every episode was an away mission with Picard and Vosh, all of TNG. Right. I mean, what would that have been? Would you have liked TNG if that was the case?
And you don't even know the bridge crew's names. Like I know they have names, but like you don't really remember what they like.
I think there's an android guy. There's a guy with like these weird glasses. I think he's blind, but I'm not sure because I've only seen him like once.
I think there's a Klingon in the back.
I mean, could you imagine if you didn't know any of those people?
Yeah, that'd be ridiculous, right? Yeah. So this is the end of that scene. He basically hits on the guy, and she's like, "Ooh, spicy."
Maybe we could.
Wow. And what was the point there? What was the point? To show a straight guy hitting on another guy?
Yeah.
That was the point, right?
I mean,
Otherwise, what was the point?
Is it supposed to be like funny?
It's a gay joke.
It's a gay joke, right? Which we don't really get. We're like, okay,
Why the show's not for us. It wasn't made for us.
It's true. There's one more. I didn't get this clip, but I have to talk about it before we get to the most egregious thing that they showed in this entire series. When Saru caught up with the Breen commander, and he has the security chick with him, and he's like,
"Look into my eyes.
Do you see a glimmer of doubt?"
As much as I like Doug Jones,
I love Doug Jones, but he's like,
I hate Saru, man.
I'm part of the Federation, but I'm a Kelpian first, and we are predators, and you, sir, are prey. And you're like, what?
And
I've been studying you.
Breen's like, you're crazy.
You're insane, Saru.
You're insane. And then hangs up. And what's with all the shit? The word shit was used like 15 times.
Oh, because they can't use like harder words. You can
use
what
I'm
that
saying is can't they come up with something better 1,200 years from now?
Right.
Like 1,200 years from now, you don't have anything better than shit.
Frack, shrap, shway. There's a lot of shows have invented new curse words because it's so far in the future and it works. Firefly, Battlestar Galactica, like
anything would have. Or how about this? Don't use curse words.
Or just don't use curse words, right?
It's not necessary because you have no other word other than to say a curse word.
Right. Not necessary.
How about dang it? Or oh. How about that? How about that? No, it's got to be shit. Doesn't.
Shit.
This is a writer problem. Man.
Yeah, it is.
Lack of vision.
So and we're gonna gloss over this because it's not. I'm gonna gloss over it because the writers gloss over it. They do eventually get into the Progenitor thing, and they meet a Progenitor, and the Progenitor who's
what a disappointment.
Yeah, what a massive disappointment. The Progenitor is played by an African American woman, and she goes, we didn't create this place. Someone else created it, and perhaps they created us too. And you're like, so
perhaps there was a series of creations and people creating here.
So by definition, you are not a progenitor, right?
Well, you're the progenitor of this race, or of this version of it. It's very, it was very cop-out-ish. It wasn't
massive cop-out.
What was the point? What was the purpose?
So you have this mystery box, like the whole season is about them finding this technology, and then when you find it, nothing happens. Nothing happens. We learn nothing.
Well, there was one thing that happened.
Well,
one thing that happened.
She unilaterally decided to destroy the technology.
No, she told her the point of all this is diversity.
She did say that.
She did. She said that. The point of all this is diversity. We wanted a diverse. We wanted the diversity of diverse. We wanted to diversity.
You're right.
all the different alien races to be diverse. I mean, that's what it felt like to me.
Diverse.
Like that was the point.
So that way. So it's so funny because in the video I made yesterday, I was like, of course we have like the DEI version of the progenitor, and there was a comment that was like, because that's what it was, and there's a comment that was like, DEI doesn't exist, that's like kid mentality or something like that, but
it doesn't exist.
I mean, that's like the comment I had on that video is someone basically scolding me saying DEI is not a real thing. You're just whatever. But it's funny because like that entire scene was them talking about diversity. What does DEI stand for?
Diversity, yeah.
Right. And you're like, what are you talking about?
Equity, and yeah.
Like this entire scene is talking about DEI, and you're saying DEI doesn't exist. That's a cop-out. No. The entire scene is talking about that specific thing.
And then we got no answers.
Nothing.
There's no power. There's nothing. Nothing came of this. You know what came of it? Michael Burnham learned about herself.
Yeah.
That's what the whole season was about. Michael Burnham. And what did she learn? Brian? What did Michael Burnham learn about herself?
We are already diverse. She said that. And Paul Stamets goes in there.
It's okay to love book. Like that was it.
It's okay to love book. Yeah. When she gets back on the ship, and Paul Stamets is like, when I say he's getting gayer and gayer every episode, I'm talking about his vocal inflection is getting.
He's becoming more. Yes,
he's becoming
more flamboyant.
And I don't think I don't know him, the guy, but the first 3 seasons he wasn't speaking this way. And now it's like really.
Well, Colbert was the more flamboyant of the two.
Yes.
And Stamets was kind of like just, you wouldn't really know he was gay unless you saw him, kissing on.
But now he's really emotional and like very expressive. And he comes in and she's like, and they're arguing about what they're gonna do with the technology, and he's real high pitched, and she goes, "Stop! They trusted me, and we're gonna destroy it." And you're like, this is like the most you have painted this as the most important scientific discovery ever, which I would argue that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And we don't even know what the effing thing really does.
We don't know what it is.
We still don't even know what it does. Like, it can make an army. You're like, okay.
It can create life. It might be able to bring things back from the dead. We have no idea. It was all speculation.
Yeah. And she's like, we're going to destroy it. They trusted me and we're going to destroy it. And you're like, and she goes, I'll let Federation know. And you're like, why is this person that just got to the future? She came from the past deciding on behalf of the Federation what is going to happen with this extremely important technology.
Because, Brian, diversity.
Yeah. That's the only answer.
Listen, okay, so what we're saying here, all joking aside, message above story. That's what Discovery's problem is. The message is what matters. The writers aren't trying to write you just an entertaining story. They're trying to create a message. And in the end, it really became about passing a message as opposed to taking us on a really good journey. I mean, every episode was giving us a new clue that, if I'm being frank here, every time they got a new clue, I didn't learn anything new. about what was going on. All
Right.
it gave you a clue was to the next location of the next clue,
Right.
in which one of those was ginormous Tilly running like a marathon, winning, beating everybody. There's no way that woman.
I mean, yeah, I'm sorry. You're right, though.
Bro.
Like,
There's no way.
I was gonna put that as a clip, but I was like, I don't want to be like,
I couldn't run that marathon. There's no way.
I don't want to be super mean, but like, everyone's fallen out of this race. They're thirsty, and she is somehow. She wasn't even raised on that planet. She's not acclimated to
Pick
that.
anybody but Tilly.
Anyone.
Pick anyone
No,
but
you're
Tilly.
totally right. And pick anyone but Tilly.
I don't believe what just happened. Pick anybody else.
Like, if you're telling me that someone that is just trained Starfleet member, you know, and his fit goes down there, I believe that person would have a chance of beating the people who are raised on that planet in that environment. But then you give me Tilly to do it? No. No. You might as well put a guy in a wheelchair in there. That is.
You might as well put me down there.
Yeah, you might as well put one of us
there.
You might as well put one of us to go on a marathon without water and win.
Come on,
that
put
is
us down
as
there.
believable.
Just dying of thirst, mile 26.
Unbelievable. It's so unbelievable.
That's the whole problem. None of it's believable.
I was gonna have a clip of that. I was like, I don't want to get Shane on this like tangent about how fat Tilly is, but
No, listen. The woman, the actress got fat. It's okay. We all do some of us do.
yeah,
Okay.
I did.
Some of us get fat. It's okay. Don't write her into scenes where it doesn't make any sense.
Don't write her in the scene.
Don't have her be the marathon runner.
Right.
Hey, listen, Brian, anybody can run marathons. No, they can't because fat people can't run marathons.
No, fat person can't run a
I
marathon.
don't care what people says.
Sorry, bud. Sorry.
Mary Wiseman, it's okay that you gained a bunch of weight, girl, but it doesn't help your character be the leader of Starfleet Academy, the representative. Cadets are going to look at you and say, "Oh fuck, I can go eat donuts. Holy shit, I can go whatever I want."
I mean, yeah.
About my waist.
Yo, boot up that replicator, son. I want some tiramisu right now.
Right now. So, I mean, look, so I'm not fat shaming you. I'm fat shaming your character. Okay. They should have put you in scenes where you're not, the person everybody looks to for fitness.
She's over there doing PT tests. You're like, really? What? Really? All right. Before we get to the last scene, let's do a super chat break. Michael Nemo for $5. If I was in charge of Trek, I would never make Trek about being male, Hispanic, bi, 5'7" from Texas, liberal, or effing ex-Catholic Scorpio. So you wouldn't make it about yourself. Is that what you're saying,
Right.
Mike?
That's what he's trying to say.
Right.
And it's not about you or us. It's not even about us. It's just about when you're watching it, do you enjoy it? Like, what's the point? Like, to me, Star Trek is, about hope and about sticking to Starfleet ideals, right? That's what I fell in love with Star Trek. It's like, oh my God, there's these set of ideals that no matter what you go through as a crew, you stick together. Right. You back each other up, you support each other. And most importantly, you back up the ideals of your organization of Starfleet. And the captain embodies those ideals. And and it's all about character. Nothing is more important than character. Right. And so as a young person, I can look forward to that. That's how I want to feel that way. I want to be a hero.
A family of heroes doing what it takes to protect and
with
serve.
integrity.
With integrity.
Right? With integrity and honor. Right. But that doesn't make very interesting television, some people say. That's weird because we have decades of people loving the shit out of Star Trek. So obviously somebody loved it.
Every time I've heard that argument. That doesn't make for interesting television nowadays. Really? So, but for 60 years, it was fine. All of a sudden, you would turn on a dime and decide that what worked for 60 years doesn't work anymore.
So in the crew of Discovery, and I guess to counter my own argument, this crew of Discovery does look out for each other, but to the detriment of Starfleet ideals.
Right.
To the detriment of
selfishness and emotional.
Right. It's emotion, selfishness. It's not the shining hill, shining star on the hill. It's about, how do I feel?
Right.
Well, guess what? Star Trek's never been about I or me, right? It's about the whole, right? It's about, when Janeway goes to the Delta Quadrant, she has to find a way to maintain Starfleet ideals.
Right.
In the face of, where the fuck Starfleet? There's no Starfleet.
Right.
So that's what you fall in love with. And here, and the problem with being in the future with Starfleet is Starfleet it feels like a small it doesn't feel like a good organization. It's run by, mostly it seems like a Vulcan, and, it doesn't feel like it's gone anywhere or grown or been, been elevated in any way. It's
also feels
almost
very
1,000 years
small.
older, and it's worse
And
than it was.
I know they were like decimated by the burn and whatever, but they've had a lot of time to rebuild, and they show you these large set pieces in establishing shots, but you only ever see a few people in Starfleet. It's very
strange.
Very strange, right?
Yeah, it's very, very strange. And I think there's one thing before we end it. Are you about to end it?
No, I have 2 more super chats, and I'm gonna show the last scene.
Okay, and then I think there's something else we had to say too, but we'll get there.
Okay, Big Worm for $10. Thank you, Big Worm. I appreciate you, sir. I've been, or ma'am, I don't even know, whatever you are. I've been watching chick shows. Okay, you're a man. I've been watching chick shows with my wife for 30 plus years. This show can only be compared to Oxygen Network trash. Sex in the City was great stuff with too little nudity. I agree. LGBT deserve better. Vulcan salute. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And that's true.
Yeah, it's facts. Hashtag facts. Son of John, what's up? Thank you, Son of John, for $10. Tilly was so hot looking in season 1. I actually agree. I thought she was hot in season 1.
It's true.
Then season 2 and on it went downhill. My pal said no. Is that what you named your penis? If you wanted to know the definition of Mary Sue, Burnham's picture is in the dictionary. Oof.
That's true, man. That is unfortunately true. What did Michael Burnham, when did she ever learn to become who she is? Yeah, here's a picture of her in season 1. Yeah, she was cute.
Yeah, she was cute in season 1.
But listen, when people get fat, they usually don't get prettier or better looking.
Not usually, but in some cases they do.
It depends on how fat you get. Like if you get a little fat, it could be okay. But if you get a lot fat, you don't become more attractive.
I like voluptuous women. So like, if you get a little bit of weight and it just fills out, I'm cool with that. John Burns, they stole the Breen from Babylon 5. That is the theory, and I think you're right.
And I also think that it's very close to a certain Star Wars
bounty hunter, right? Yeah. John Burns again for 609. Thank you, John. Raynor in STD is like General in Mars Attacks. We're at war. We need to attack. Everyone's arguing for peace. We are your friends.
As they're being disseminated or decimated, right? No, that is a really good point, John.
Dude, I keep thinking I want to watch Mars Attacks with my kids, but then I go to watch it again, and I'm like, oh, this is too much for kids right now.
Yeah, they're gonna really make them afraid of aliens.
Because my youngest has such a unique sense of humor. She would be walking around. She would become that character, but it's too racy. Another one from Michael Nemo. Thank you, Mike. Imagining you two watching STD is like imagining you two in an escape room at Pride Fest.
That is so funny. The whole time I'm watching the show, I'm complaining, and I literally every chance I get, I'm calling Brian and saying, "I hate you for making me watch this."
He was so mad at me the whole time.
And it's only because I just didn't want to watch it. It's like if I turn on back to the Oxygen Network, any show that pops on there, if there was a season of a TV show on the Oxygen Network, I would have been like, oh, I'm not going to watch this. Oh, babe, you want to watch it? Go for it. I'm not going to watch it because I have 10 hours of my life that I don't want to give to this thing.
Right.
And that's where we've gotten with Star Trek. It got to the point where I would watch it, but it's gotten to the point where I don't want to give 10 hours of my life to something that I don't get any entertainment from.
Right.
And also it's like, it does feel like someone is abusing my child. I love Star Trek, my wife and I were talking about it earlier. Like when before we got married, I said, babe, what are the 2 things I told you that I love more than anything? This is before I had kids, that I love more than anything in the world. She says, the Miami Dolphins and Star Trek. And I said, that's it. Those were the 2 things that I love more than anything else in the world.
Yeah, what you don't know is now that Sonequa Martin Green is gone from Discovery, she's actually being hired as a new quarterback for the Miami Dolphins.
Okay. Stop fucking with me, okay? It was hard enough when I watched The Walking Dead. It was hard enough.
Imagine like you have this like star quarterback, and all of a sudden you find out like a Sonequa Martin Green is dating him. You're like, what? What's going on? No.
I mean, and I don't know Sonequa, but I just know she's not a good actress. It must be that, because when I watch The Walking Dead and they've got all these characters in The Walking Dead and me and my wife are watching it, I'm like, God, I hate that character.
Right.
Like, I hate that character. Like,
Yeah,
I just did not like her character at all on The Walking Dead. And I liked, plenty of other characters on The Walking Dead. I did not like her character. And so as soon as the report came out that she was the new captain or the new lead for Star Trek Discovery, I went, oh shit. So we had that already happen. And regardless of what you think of how she's gone into the role, I just don't like her as an actress. I think she acts. What is she? She overacts, I guess.
Yeah, she overacts.
She overacts.
She whispers everything like this. And you're like, why are you whispering? When she first got put in the portal, she lost communication with Discovery. But she thinks that maybe they can still hear her. So she's like, I don't know what I'm seeing right now. I think the windows. And you're like, why are you whispering? Like that.
Well, I mean, the whispering's bad enough, but I mean, I imagine her, somebody says, okay, show me fear. Okay, show me pride. Show me. And she makes, show me frustrated. Show me. And so when she's acting, like that's what the character is supposed to be feeling, but she like really puts it all into her face and the way she enunciates. And it should be in the dialogue.
Right.
And there should be a little more,
Yeah, people are subtle. People don't.
There should be more subtlety to it. You got to kind of figure it out. But I mean, it's just, I don't really, I don't hate her as a person and I don't wish her any ill will, but I just don't like her acting.
Yeah.
And that goes for the Looney Tunes movie where she was the wife as well.
Yeah. Space Jam 2.
Space Jam 2.
Okay, last clip, and then we're going to move on from Discovery. This is...
What the fuck?
Because I have to show you this clip, and then I have to show you why and how insane it really is. And Shane, I'm about to blow your mind, I think, too, because I don't think you've
I don't think
seen
so.
this.
I've already seen it.
Oh, no, but you haven't seen okay. Excuse me.
Oh, maybe you will. Maybe you'll blow my mind.
Maybe I'll blow your mind. Okay. So, this is the scene.
I've lived many years, Captain.
Where Kovic finally reveals
I've met few
who he really is.
Impressed me, but also aggravated me.
Here we go. Oh, I'm sorry. It shows Chateau Picard wine.
Uh-huh.
Geordie's visor.
Of course.
All right. Cisco's baseball.
Yep.
If I may, sir.
And she's like, who are you? And he's like,
my real name is a bit of a red directive in and of itself.
My real name is a red directive.
Wow. USS Discovery.
Here we go. Here it is. Agent Daniels.
Oh my God,
USS
no!
Enterprise.
Oh my God.
Nice to meet you.
Was he really on the Enterprise?
Okay.
He was a time agent. He
was
wasn't
time-
really.
well,
He
first
wasn't
off-
really a member of that crew.
First off, the Enterprise was not the USS Enterprise. So I'm not trying to be like nitpicky here, but remember the NX-01 was not USS Enterprise. It was the NX-01 was Enterprise.
Dude, David Cronenberg, who plays that character Kovic, right? Or Daniels now. They said it was, who was it? It was Slash Film or somebody was doing an interview, and they're asking the showrunner, they're like, hey, so did David Cronenberg like go back and watch all the episodes on Enterprise, where with Daniels in them, and so he can get caught up on the character? And the showrunner's like, he has other things to do.
Well,
it's like nobody gives a shit about whether or not they understand which character they are or who they are. Or
are you ready for your mind to be blown?
Yes, blow my mind. Good.
Because remember, the character was introduced 3 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago. Now, the day after the character was introduced, there was a Reddit post put on Star Trek r/Star Trek Discovery. And it says, is David Cronenberg playing an older version of Daniels from Enterprise?
Okay. Why is my mind blown?
Because
somebody said it?
Because someone predicted the day after that character was revealed, and you know without a shadow of a doubt they had no intention yet of making him Daniels.
Oh,
which
I
means
see what
that
you're saying.
someone saw this post at the top of at the top of r/Star Trek Discovery, and they made him that after the fact 3 years later.
Yeah, but here's what really happened. They made this Reddit post, and then everybody working on Star Trek Discovery said, who's Daniels? Let's go figure out who's this guy. We gotta go look him up. Then they decided to make him Daniels because they didn't have a fucking clue as to who Daniels was.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just think it's quite
my mind's
telling.
blown, by the way.
I mean, I'm not. Maybe mind blown was too strong.
No, I mean, I don't. Here's the thing: is nothing could surprise me, like that they would just take that idea from somebody else. You know, there were some things that happened in season 3 that were supposed to give you, that were supposed to hint to you that it was Daniels, right? It was supposed to be that, oh, he's the one who interviewed all of the people who had the temporal flux issues. He's the one who interviewed Michelle Yeoh's character, you know, so that was in some way supposed to tell you that it was Daniels. No, it's not. There's no way you would connect Daniels. Listen, they just made Daniels that character because he was a time cop.
Yeah, they wanted one last big reveal, and they didn't have another character it can be.
Well,
like,
if this
and
character,
even then, like if it was Daniels, like someone in that post did the math, in that post from 3 years ago did the math, he'd be about 175 years old. So I guess it's possible, and that with that technology,
maybe. But here's the thing. So Kovich, listen. Now, what would have made this interesting, guys? What would have made this cool is if we gave a shit if Kovich was Daniels. We don't care if he's Daniels because all we know about Kovich is that he hides in his little room that Burnham goes to, and he's the one who gives all the orders.
Right.
We don't know. We don't care about this character. There's nothing else that happened in the series that connected us back to make us go, oh my God, it's Daniels.
Right.
That is shitty writing. If you're going to make this character an iconic, a character from the past of Star Trek, you're going to have to find ways to integrate him to make you go, oh, I get it.
Right.
He said something about the time, he had in some way, he wasn't there. We showed up at his room and where is he? And all of a sudden he blips in or something. There has to be some fucking thing that like ties and connects it to it. This is writing 101. This is what people are incapable of doing in Hollywood. The character is not interesting. We don't give a shit about the character. So this reveal is a nothing burger.
All right. Doesn't mean anything.
I felt nothing. Oh, It's cool. We saw Geordi's visor. Oh, who gives a shit? Yeah. We don't care about the character of Kovich.
Right. Yeah, you should have just named him Daniels from the beginning. It's so far in the future that no one would have put those pieces together.
They probably would have figured it out, or give him some initials, or have him do something, or have a story that somehow connects it. Makes sense.
Yeah. Don't
just drop it on us because you can.
Someone in the comments and in Archmage, I think you were like, he should have been Wesley. He should have been Wesley. That would have been perfect. Michael,
actually, that would have made me laugh like really hard.
Yeah,
like,
I would have laughed my ass off.
I'd have been like,
Michael Nemo says Daniels was on Enterprise J. So yeah, technically, I guess that was Enterprise you could have been talking about.
That's true.
Hey, real quick before we leave, also the episode really wanted to tie up Calypso, the short trek that they promised they would tie up, and so at the very end, they had the Admiral make one last mission where she flew the Discovery into deep space, and then left it there so that Kraft would find it. But the funniest part, she goes, "It's a retroactive. All I know is the word craft." How would you know the word craft? How would you even know who's going to find the ship? Like none of that makes sense.
Bad writing once again.
It's super bad. It's such bad writing.
Things in right, and then how about this? This is a ship that has.
They should have just said, "Yeah, we can't." Like you're sentient. I don't know how they could have done it, but they didn't have to name. Don't use the name craft. Don't act like you know what's going to happen in 1,000 years. It's crazy.
We all knew what she was doing without saying the word craft.
Right.
We all knew what was about to happen, that they were tying up the loose end. You didn't even show, don't tell, you know, and how about this? Now the ship has feelings. So when we watched that episode or that short trek, the ship hadn't evolved as much as it has now. Now what they're doing is tantamount to torture.
Oh yeah, that they're gonna leave the Discovery in deep space with orders to stay there for the rest of its sentient life for 1,000 years. Like that is prison.
Fucking torture, dude.
That's what is it called? When they put you in the wing of the prison that has no other prisoners.
Solitary
confinement. That's solitary confinement. Yeah. Crazy. Okay. Well, we're going to move on. We got a member stream. Before we do that, you said you want to talk about something else. Should I move the member stream up a little bit?
I can't remember now. I can't remember what it was we were going to say. I'm sure we already talked about it. There's so many things that honestly, we could talk about this because this is the last time. We could really probably talk about it forever. But the reality is that once again, Star Trek Discovery is a shadow of what Star Trek should be in our opinion. Berman era Star Trek is, in my opinion, what Star Trek should be. It should be about Starfleet ideals. It should not be the sole focus of a captain or one person. It should not be agenda based. It should be story based. I think they felt like they were trying to go story based this year with like revealing these clues that didn't really reveal anything. Which would have been cool if we learned something a little new every episode that led us to some big realization that we never got. Star Trek writers, Star Trek showrunners, I want you to ask yourself, I want you to go back and take a look at this and ask yourself, what were you trying to accomplish this season? What did you want to do? What story did you want to tell? Did you accomplish it? Or was it just important that you maintained your message of diversity and kind of leftist ideals? Was it your idea to just reinforce what you guys want Star Trek to be, as opposed to just entertain us? That's all we wanted.
Right.
Fail.
That's all you had to do. Massive fail. Okay, so we are going to be going. Oh, Trump trial talk. Do you want to talk about that here or in the members section?
I'm okay with talking about it here. We probably should. We've told people we talk about it here.
Okay, so let me push the members section up a little bit so that it doesn't, because if I let it, if I don't, it'll cut off and switch.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about.
Did we hit all the rest of the
yeah, that was the last
chat?
one. That was the last one for now. Yeah.
Okay.
I got them all. All right. Let's talk about the Trump trial, dude. Yeah. So this is actually pretty crazy. Someone said in the chat, like, MAGA tears. I don't think this is really a MAGA tears kind of thing. I think this is more of like a patriotic tears kind of thing. Like the country we are failing if we are utilizing our legal system as a way to win elections.
Yeah, I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, we are the same country that killed Kennedy. I mean, think about it. John F. Kennedy was killed for his political beliefs by and that was an assassination. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to kill Trump. If this doesn't bring Trump down, it would not surprise me at all if they tried to assassinate him. You know, and here's the thing. I'm not a Trump supporter. Okay. No. I personally am not happy with either one of these candidates. Okay. I'm really not happy. I think Trump, is kind of the lesser of two evils as far as when it comes to like screwing up the country.
Yeah. Policies.
That's kind of how I look at it. But what I don't like seeing is, and you notice it today. So this whole thing, I'm not going to go through the entire thing, but essentially it's,
well, before you do, because I want to touch on what you just talked about. They killed Kennedy, right?
Yeah.
I saw this on Twitter shortly after the verdict. One of the weirdest mainstream political beliefs is that secret government agencies who did evil things in the past just don't do evil things anymore.
Yeah.
This belief is based on literally nothing. It's believed because it's comfortable, and that is a fact, Jack.
Well, think about it. Every time the government does something fucked up, right? we kind of find out about it, and then nobody does anything. They're like, oh, can you believe they did that? And then nothing happens. So what does that do? That emboldens them to do even more shit that's not right.
All right, that's true.
Because nobody's, I mean, and this is such a weird thing. You know, number one, you know, hush money, you think of the term hush money and you go, oh, that's wrong, illegal. You shouldn't hush money. Well, it's actually legal. Like hush money payments are legal. It's a legal document, right?
Like I don't want Shane to tell anyone about my grinder profile, so I zelled him $2,000 this morning.
Right.
Oh shit! Wow. I probably shouldn't have revealed that.
Now I'm going to tell everybody.
Whatever, you know, but that's what hush money is.
Right.
If you're paying someone to not tell someone a secret, that's not illegal,
and it's legal. So here's what happened. So this thing happened, you know, so they didn't want, obviously Trump, and I'm sure he knew about it. This whole thing where he doesn't know about it is kind of dumb bullshit, right? So Trump doesn't obviously want Stormy Daniels to talk about it. So Cohen comes up with this idea to pay her. He's like, okay, do what you got to do.
Stormy, don't tell anyone about my penis, okay?
He pays her, right? They pay her off.
Right.
So these guys decide they're going to go ahead and they're looking for any reason to take him to trial. Now, when this guy Bragg, who ran for DA, he ran basically saying, look, if you elect me, I will throw Trump in prison. I will find a way to get Trump and throw him in prison. Like that was the whole thing, because we don't like guys who are mean and say bad things about us, you know, which is stupid. So this would have possibly, what he did could have been possibly a misdemeanor, but it was outside of the deadline for which you could prosecute somebody on a misdemeanor, and which wouldn't have done anything anyways. So they said that what he did was he should have used campaign funds,
which is illegal,
of lawyer funds to do it. Well, I don't know if it's illegal or not, but I will tell you this:
that's misappropriation, right?
I don't know, but what I do know is if you heard that Trump used campaign funds to pay off Stormy Daniels, you'd be like, "Fuck that guy."
Right.
Because that sounds wrong.
Yeah, you're using people's donations to your political campaign.
Right.
I'd be
to
very
hush
angry.
Somebody up.
Yeah.
Now that sounds wrong. So to me, it feels like he's screwed either way, right?
Right.
But here's what the reality of the whole situation. The reality is that the Democratic Party, Biden, and all those people, this is all trumped up to try to assassinate him. That's all it is. They're trying to politically assassinate the guy.
Politically.
Even, you know, it doesn't matter if he's an asshole. It doesn't matter if he's narcissistic and he's a piece of shit. It doesn't matter. What they're doing is wrong. They wouldn't do this to anybody else. Nobody else would be charged this stuff. And it's bullshit. And I don't like unfairness. I don't like unfairness in my house, in my city, in my country. I don't like unfairness. I spent 3 or 4 years living in Italy where the judicial system is very unfair, where people, you know, where the mob runs a lot of the judicial system back when I was there. And people would go to prison just because the mob wanted you to go, you know, and there was a lot of it was very political. That's what our country is turning into. And it really, really bothers me the way this thing went down. And when you look into the judge and you look into his daughter, you know, raising money for the millions of dollars for the Democratic Party, and he's a Democratic Party donor, and then he's instructing the jury on all these things and telling the jury they don't even have to not listen. He doesn't sequester them, and then he lets them go out into the world and listen. And they're already it's just the whole thing screams of like a railroad job. Whether you like Trump or don't like Trump, this is just bad for America.
I mean, like, bottom line, like you just go to the judge. The judge is an extreme activist. His daughter works for a Democratic candidate. Like in any other trial, that would have been grounds for recusal easily, but not here. For some reason, not here. The things don't add up. The way they push certain pieces around the chessboard is so blatant and corrupt that it's anyone with eyes can be like, well, this is completely wrong. But the problem is the people that are doing the corruption, that are making corrupt moves, they believe that they're righteous because Democrats need to win the next election.
Well, I mean, you had what's his name out there the other day losing his mind.
Oh, yeah. De Niro.
I don't know why. Robert De Niro, right? Robert De Niro is sent by the White House. If you watch Biden,
forget about it. Yeah.
Biden's reading from a piece of paper that somebody gave to him. He couldn't read through it correctly.
Yeah.
Which means he didn't write it. Okay. And then he's got these two guys, two
You mean
Washington
De Niro.
cops, De Niro, who's with him there, two cops from the January 6th riot thing, who were there also saying bad things about Trump. Right. It's like, this is a concerted effort to assassinate him.
Right.
And to character wise. And then what happens? The moment he's guilty verdict, within an hour, all of a sudden it comes out that ex-apprentice producer says Trump was using the N-word, was calling. Now, what's Trump been doing? Trump's been winning the black vote, right? So now within an hour of this coming out, this is all concerted. This is all organized using the media. This is what I hate about what's going on right now. This is wrong. The character assassination should not be legal. Right. It's one thing.
No, but I don't think it is. No, I don't think what they're doing in that courtroom is legal. I think that
I'm talking about outside of the courtroom.
Oh, you're right.
I'm talking about the use of one political party to set up the media to do. They're waiting for this verdict to come out to drop this news that Trump uses the N-word.
Right.
Like they waited for that.
Right.
This could have come out anytime, but they waited. They're trying to pile it on so that they can call him a felon. Right. So that are you going to vote for a felon?
Yeah.
Are you going to vote for a felon?
Someone said it's not going to hold up on appeal, but that's not the point. The point is now you have the headline that says guilty on all charges. That's the point.
And he's a felon. So now so the point is that, it's not a fair trial, which in America, you should get a fair trial. And regardless of, maybe he did do something wrong. I don't know. But, and honestly, any politician who's doing something wrong should be charged. Biden should be charged for taking money that Hunter took from China and Ukraine. He got that money, went into his family and was used by his family, and he fucking knew about it.
Yeah, but the DOJ said he's too senile to.
But that was before all that,
right?
So he did something illegal. Now, are we going to have once he's out of office? Are we going to have conservative DAs, if there are any anymore? Are they going to go, oh no, we're going to try? Is he going to get drugged through? See, this is what I'm saying. It's not fair. And so I just feel like I don't think Trump may have lost today or whatever, but America lost today. And not because it's Trump and not because it's MAGA but because our country is about justice being blind.
Right.
And it was not blind. And if this had been Biden going through this process and Trump was president and they were doing this to Biden, I would feel the exact same way I feel
the
right
exact
now.
same way. Yeah.
So anyways, I just wanted to put that out. That's really all I had to say about it. But it made me sad to see things go down like this. So,
well, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about it in the members section, but we do have to go to the members section because it's getting late and our members are important. If you want to be a member and you are not a member, click on the join button below. We're going to be doing meme review. I got a bunch of memes we're going to show and we're going to talk about, and I'm sure we'll talk more about the court cases, and there's a bunch of stuff that probably shouldn't be on the non-members side anyways. So come on in. We're going to be going
real quick.
Go ahead.
Michael Nemo for $2. They should have made Kovic Kess from Voyager.
I'm sorry, I almost missed that.
Kind of looks like an old version of Kess,
dude. I almost missed that. That would have been epic if it was a transitioned Kess from Voyager.
Yes. Oh my God. I used to be Kess, but I transitioned into Kovic.
That would blow the canon out of the water, considering she's supposed to live like 8 years.
Writers who heard us say that right now are like, damn it, that would have been perfect.
It's like, son of a...
How did we miss that?
All right, so we're going to the member section. I hope you can join us. It's a good time. We let loose. We drop our hair down. I take my pants off, and we just talk, and we look at memes, and we talk about politics, and we talk about pop culture, and there's a lot to discuss today. So please join us. Hit that join button, and if you can't, that's cool. We'll be back next Thursday. Anything else?
We love you guys. We appreciate you. See you guys next week or in the member section.
If you're already a member, then what should happen right now is when I end this, a window will pop up that shows the member section, and it should be taking you there. It's called a handshake. If it does not happen, please click the logo and go to the live tab and find it. Okay, here we go.
Nothing is impossible. Just do it. Do it. Just do it.